There was a small town tucked between the rolling hills, where the streets were narrow, and the houses looked like they hadn't changed in 100 years. Among these houses, there was one that stood out, though not for its beauty. It was a crumbling, old Victorian on the corner of Larchwood Lane. The townspeople called it the Hollow House. No one really knew who lived there anymore. It had been abandoned for decades, ever since the tragic disappearance of the last family that had lived inside. It was a cold autumn evening when Clara, a newcomer to town, decided to take a walk. The streets were bathed in the orange glow of streetlights, and the wind carried the scent of damp leaves. As she passed Larchwood Lane, she saw the old house again, its dark windows staring blankly back at her. Curiosity tugged at her. She'd heard the rumors, of course, how the house was haunted, how the last family vanished without a trace, leaving only whispers behind. But Clara was a skeptic. She didn't believe in ghosts. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Clara found herself standing in front of the house. The front gate creaked in the wind, and the overgrown yard was shrouded in shadows. Without thinking much of it, she stepped up the crumbling steps to the front door and, to her surprise, it was slightly ajar. Against her better judgment, Clara pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust, and the walls seemed to hum with a strange energy. She didn't believe in ghosts, but there was something undeniably wrong about this place. The floorboards groaned beneath her feet as she wandered deeper into the house. As she explored, she felt a chill crawl up her spine. The hallway stretched on forever, and every room she entered seemed to be frozen in time: a dusty living room with old furniture, a kitchen where the plates were still set, and a staircase that led up to a dark second floor. Then she heard it. A soft thud, followed by another, then a scraping sound. She froze, heart pounding. She wasn't alone. Clara's breath quickened as she tried to locate the source of the noise. She turned a corner and saw a faint light flickering from under a door at the end of the hallway. Her legs moved of their own accord, carrying her closer, despite the dread building in her chest. With trembling hands, she pushed the door open. The room was small, almost claustrophobic. In the middle of the room stood an old, wooden rocking chair. It rocked gently, even though there was no wind. And beside it, on the floor, were two small, dusty footprints leading toward a narrow door that she hadn't noticed before. She took a step closer to the chair. As her fingers brushed the back of it, the chair stopped moving. The silence in the room was deafening. Then, in the darkness, she saw it. A shape, too thin and tall to be human, standing in the doorway beyond the chair. Clara's blood turned to ice. It was the figure of a woman, pale, her long hair hanging in front of her face, and her hands reaching out toward Clara. But there was something wrong with the woman's eyes. They were completely black, hollow like the void. Before Clara could scream, the door slammed shut, and the figure was gone. Panicked, she bolted for the exit, but as she reached the front door, it slammed shut with a force that rattled the walls. The windows were dark. There was no way out. She was trapped. Then, the whispering started. It was soft at first, like a breeze carrying words she couldn't understand. But it grew louder, clearer, until it was a chorus of voices, all chanting the same thing: "You shouldn't have come. You shouldn't have come." Clara's heart hammered in her chest as she backed away from the door. The walls seemed to pulse, the air thick with a sense of something that wanted her to stay, something that didn't want her to leave. And then, in a voice that was clear as day, the thing in the house whispered, "You're just like them." Clara's world spun. Her legs gave way beneath her, and she collapsed to the floor, her breath ragged as the shadows around her seemed to close in. The next morning, the people of the town found the house empty. Clara was never seen again. The hollow house, however, was no longer abandoned. From the window, the faintest silhouette of a woman could be seen, rocking in the chair, waiting for the next curious soul.